Is Tiny Toons Toonestein Dare to Scare the worst licensed video game ever? I don't know, but if I hear this song again, I'm gonna blow my head off.
In a mansion, on a quest for fame and fortune, and Hampton, here's my guest. He's scared, y'all. I wanna go home. Methinks he might be one potato shy of an Irish stew.
As someone who grew up playing various kiddie games like Spyro the Dragon and Croc, Tiny Toons Adventures Toonestein Dare to Scare is one of the biggest insults to children's video games everywhere. This licensed WB turd was developed by Terra Glen Interactive Studios, the same company behind Buster and the Beanstalk. Man, I remember renting this one when I was 7 years old. Like most kids, I grew up watching reruns of classic Warner Brothers cartoons, and Tiny Toons, while never quite as funny as classic Looney Tunes, was still pretty entertaining. And it was this interest which led me once again down the dark hole of licensed video games. And that's what Dare to Scare is. A dull, nonsensical experience slapped with images of popular cartoon characters. So Dare to Scare doesn't have much of a plot. It centers around Plucky Duck and Hampton Pig traveling around Baroness Elmira Duff's mansion in an effort to free the monster she's creating. While featured in the opening cutscenes and throughout various short segments, you don't actually play as either Plucky or Hampton. Rather, you spend the entire game playing as Furball the Cat, one of the only characters from the Tiny Toons cartoon that never had any written lines. How convenient. As Furball, you help Plucky and Hampton restore the mansion's power by activating switches on each floor in order to use the elevator and free the monster. Along the way, Furball has to shoot down bomb bats and avoid Elmira. Each time you turn on a switch, you get a chance to simply restore power or run into Elmira or initiate bomb bats. Bomb bats, if left unchecked, will destroy switches, so you have to activate the bomb bat disablers in order to shoot them down. If the switch is broken, then once you kill all the bomb bats, a angel bomb will appear and repair it. It really is hard to call this a game because there's literally no challenge whatsoever. You simply just move from one room to another, activating various switches. Now, I get that this game was literally made for kids as young as 4 years old, but that doesn't excuse the mediocre gameplay completely. And while simple, there are times when I even got confused as to where to go. When I first rented this game from Blockbuster back in the day, I was expecting a typical 3D platforming experience found in plenty of other kiddie games. Of course, that would have took some actual work. Dare to Scare has the player selecting from a number of choices to move depending on which room they're in. This mostly consists of just hitting left or right, or ringing an elevator to go to another floor. A major problem in the one-button gameplay is that it leaves you a little disoriented. The rooms aren't always circular, and in some areas, the player can walk completely past without realizing they skipped the switch. Another issue is the fact that you can lose the game pretty easy if you're caught by Elmira. This happened to me right after I freed the freaking monster and was ready to make my way to the basement. However, right before I was ready to get on the elevator, that crazy animal-loving girl caught me. When this happens, you get a pretty sad cutscene of Elmira harvesting the brains of Plucky and Hampton. And then the game ends, with both walking away from the mansion, wearing diapers for some reason. Just imagine for a minute being a kid and getting this far into the game only to just lose completely. And I was playing on freaking easy mode, for crying out loud. Easy mode! The only true gameplay is found in operating the bat bomb disablers, which are basically butt cannons to shoot down bomb bats. You activate these cannons by pressing X, and then you shoot this icky green jizz on them before the cannon overheats. But even these brief turret sections get super old fast, and they just become another chore to do. You know, there weren't that many Tiny Toon games developed, and the few that were made, such as Dare to Scare, usually failed to impress. As a fan of the cartoon, I can't help but think that the makers of this game missed out on the chance to really incorporate the characters from the show within the game. It's okay, I guess, to play as Furball, but it would have been better to actually play as Plucky or Hampton instead. Rather, they just had Plucky and Hampton chiming in with random jokes and one-liners that get old fast.
Patty says, watch out for those eyeball cameras. That crazy scientist lass can see you through those if she has enough power. Methinks he might be one potato shy of an Irish stew.
And although Elmira is the main antagonist of the game, you only see her if you get caught and you only hear her voice on the monitor. Fortunately, the game's levels provide plenty of antics and humor through the wonderfully rendered animations. On top of that, the sound is really good in the game as well. Not only do we hear the original voices from the show, with a notable exception of Hampton being played by Futurama star Billy West, we also get a variety of Warner Brothers sound effects reminiscent of classic cartoons. While gameplay was absolutely trash, I could still enjoy various scenes within the levels as they played out. Just about all the levels retain their own theme and unique presentation. And although I wish the makers of this game did more to actually incorporate the Tiny Toons characters in the game, I still thought the 2D animations mixed in with the 3D rendered backgrounds looked pretty good. Overall, Tiny Toons, Toonestein, Dare to Scare is a game that's easy to forget, but it still maintains some reminiscent classic Looney Tunes action that is worth experiencing yourself. That here includes this very short Smoky review of Tiny Toons Dare to Scare. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, and please consider subscribing to the channel. This is Bob of Smoking Fiend Productions signing off. Stay safe out there, y'all.
Everybody's talking about Toonestein. She's building a monster and it's blowing my mind. Everybody's talking about Toonestein. I'm building a monster and it's blowing my mind. Listen up, this is my house and it's cozy, but there's a ducky and a piggy and they're getting kinda nosy. Ooh, you know I like games. First I'll hug them, then I'll squeeze them, and then I'll switch their brains. They can't have my creation. In fact, I think I'll send them on a permanent vacation with a hug and a squeeze.
Excuse me, lads, could you help